Hi everyone, welcome back to class. In this video, we will see what is an array in Java, how to declare an array, how to allocate memory for an array, and how to initialize the array elements, and how to access the elements that are stored in an array. So at first we will see what is an array in Java. So in Java, an array is a fixed size ordered collection of elements of same data type. So a array is a collection of elements where it is storing the elements of same data type. So suppose if you want to store the marks of multiple students, so all the students are having the marks, and that marks will be having the same data type, that is int. So this way where we can use an array concept. So in an array variable, we store all the marks which is of data type int. So this is what an array is. And array is having the fixed size. So suppose if an array is having size 5, then you can only able to store 5 elements. Suppose if you want to store more than 5 elements, then it gives you an error. So this is what an array is. And arrays can store both primitive data types and objects. So when we talk about the primitive data types, it can include data types like int, double, char, and so on. And when we talk about the objects, it contains string, integer. So this is what about the array. And now we will see how to declare an array in Java. So suppose if we want to store the elements of data type int, then the syntax looks like int followed by square bracket, then variable name, that is array variable name, arr. So you can take any variable, but here I have taken arr as reference variable. So this is how we need to declare an array in Java. So here arr is reference variable of type int, and here the reference variable does not yet point to any actual array in memory, because we just have declared an array here, right? So as it do not point to any actual array in memory, and we do not have assigned values to it, we cannot access the elements of this particular array arr, which is a reference variable. And so this is how we normally declare an array. And how to allocate memory. So by using the new keyword, we can allocate memory for an array, that is arr, which is a reference variable, equals to new keyword followed by int, and in the square bracket we need to give size of array. So let the size be 5. So here the size is fixed. As I said, array is having the fixed size, right? So you can store only the 5 elements into it. So this is how we need to allocate memory for the array. So here the new keyword creates an array of size 5 in the memory. And now if you try to print the elements that are stored in the reference variable arr, you may get default value size 0. Suppose let me try to print system.out.println. As I said, the elements in an array can be accessed using the indexes, right? Suppose if you try to print the value at index 0, arr, which is a reference variable, so inside the square bracket we need to give 0, which is the 0th index. Now if you try to print it, you may get the output as 0. See, you can see the output as 0, because when you do not insert the values into an array, and if you try to print the values that are stored at all the indexes of an array, you may get default values as 0. And suppose if you try to print system.out.println the value at index 1, you may get the output as 0, because we do not store any values into it. See, you got output as 0, 0. First 0 is the value that is stored at index 0, and the second 0 is value that is stored at index 1. And as we are having size 5, it will be having indexes from 0 to 4, that is size minus 1, that is 5 minus 1, which is 4. So now if you try to print system.out.println at index 2, and similarly copy it here give 2, and here give 3, and here give 4. As the size is of 5, it can have indexes that is from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now if you try to print, the default values are like zeros because do not have stored any values into it. See, you can see the default value size 0. See, we have 5 zeros because the size is of 5. Let us try to initialize the array elements. So here, where you do not store the values into an array, and if you try to print, you may get the output as default values, that is 0. So instead of it, now let us try to initialize the array elements. So as we are having size 5, it can have indexes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Now let us try to store at index 0, the value is 1, and at index 1, store the value is 2, and at index 2, store the value 3, and at index 3, store the value 4, and at index 4, store the value 5. That's it. Because we are having the size 5, the indexes should be stopped at index 4. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now let us try to print the value that is stored at index 0. Okay. See, now you may get the output as 1. See, you can see the output as 1 because we have assigned one value to the array at index number 0. Now if you try to print array of 1, you may get the output as 2 because we are stored 2 at index number 1. See, you can get the output as 2. So this is how we need to initialize the array elements into an array. So here ARR is a reference variable, new is the keyword used to create an array in memory, and 5 is the size of an array which is a fixed. So here you can see, here the 5th line is declaration of an array, and the 6th line is allocation of memory for an array, and 7th to 11th line is initialization the values to an array at each indexes, and the 12th line is accessing the elements that are stored at particular index. Now here we just try to write declaration and initialization of an array in a single line. So how to write it? At first we need to take data type, that is let the data type be int, followed by reference variable, let the reference variable be ARR equals to, and here we need to take flower process in which we store the elements of an array. Let the elements be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So this is how we need to perform declaration and initialization in an array in a single line. And suppose if you try to print the length of an array, by default it gives you the size as 5. Because here what happens is, based on the elements that we have given to an array, it gives us the size. I mean, it counts the number of elements that we have stored into an array. Based on it, it gives us the size. So now if you want to print the size of an array, we will be having method that is reference variable dot length. Okay. Now if you try to print it, you may get the output as 5. See, you got our output as 5 because we have stored 5 elements, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is how we need to perform the array length method in array. So as I said, if you want to print particular elements that are stored in at particular index, we make use of reference variable. In the square bracket, we just mention the index position. So as I mentioned here 0, it gives you output 1. See, you got 1, right? So instead of that, if you want to print all the elements of an array one by one, instead of using this particular method system.out.println all the time, we just need to make use of for loop to print all the elements that are stored at indexes from 0 to 4 as it is having the size 5. So let us make use of for loop here. For int, as I said, the array is having the index concept and the index starts with 0, right? So let for int I equals to 0, I less than or equals to, as I said, it is having the index size minus 1, that is 5 minus 1, 4. I less than or equals to 4 and here updation I plus plus. Now inside the loop, try to print each element by using the indexes array of 5. See, now if you try to print it, you get the values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now let us execute it. See, you got the output 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is how we need to make use of for loop in Java, especially for array. So this is all about today. Thanks for watching the video. Do like, share and subscribe the channel. Thank you.